Power outages can happen at any time, without warning, and can leave your home powerless for days. Hilscher Clark has partnered with Generac to bring you the #1 selling home standby generator brand, engineered and built in the USA since 1959. With a home standby generator, your home will never lose power again. Generac generators activate automatically in the event of any power loss and restore power to your home within seconds. Don't leave your home unprotected. Trust only the best. Hilscher Clark's residential division are experts in their profession and go above and beyond to provide you with quality, efficient service at a fair price. Starting with the estimate, they keep you informed regarding status and completion of your projects. They also give you shorter arrival windows and send you email and text confirmations of your scheduled service appointment, as well as notifications when their electricians are on their way to your home. Hilscher Clark's Google reviews speak for themselves, with more than 270 reviews and 4.9 stars. And if you've just recently purchased an electric vehicle but don't want to rely on public chargers to keep your battery full, Hilscher Clark has all the juice you can handle for your home vehicle charging needs. Hilscher Clark is a certified Q Merit Solutions partner, making them market leaders in electrification and recommended by local dealerships. Visit them online at www.hilscher-clark.com. That's HILSCHER-CLARKE.com. Or stop down and see them at 519 4th Street Northwest in downtown Canton. Or contact Hilscher Clark today at 330-452-9806. That's 330-452-9806. Remember, it's your home, it's our family. Trust only the best. Hilscher Clark. Welcome in, everybody, to the Pro Football Hall of Fame here on Stark Media High School Football Weekly. I'm TJ Downing, joined by Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, and Dave Burtscher, filling in for Rod Strata today. Hope you're feeling better big time.
Get better, Big Daddy.
Yes, sir. We need you back out there Friday night. My Golden Eagles are going to need a little extra special love
need some help.
from from the big Spartan as they take their trip up there to take on the Eagles of St. Edward. We're going to talk about that one. Jeff's going to have the call on our website, starkmedia.tkdssports.com, alongside our partners at TKDS Sports and NHFS. All right, let's jump right into it, Jimmy B. Before we start to break down some of these round 2 games, it's already round 1 of Ohio high school football in the books last week. The round of 16 gets a little watered down. We know that there's typically some beatdowns in round 1. The matchup that you had featured was a 3 versus 14. The Green Bulldogs. We didn't know how they would come out against St. Charles. We know that they're peaking. I think they certainly peaked last week as you and Dave had that call. You got a chance to see them beat St. Charles. That was a 44-14 ball game. I think the spread offense that Mark Geis is running up there alongside your Hilscher Clark Electric Player of the Game, Jordan Bale, I mean, they were on fire last week. They put up points at a premium. Defense was also there to slow down St. Charles after their long trip up from Columbus.
Absolutely. But before Dave and I, get into this, just I know Pickham's in 3. Are we going to stay in Ohio this year? Or this week?
Round 2, strictly Ohio.
Okay,
See, we can thin the herd there because we know there won't be a whole lot of blowouts, and we might actually be able to make a comeback here. So, Dave, you're my partner.
Okay. All right, great.
You got chicken wings on the line here, buddy. Lindsay's Pizza, wings and pizza.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on, Tej. And I'll tell you what, Dave and I have been very blessed to be out at Green 2 weeks in a row. And, we didn't get a chance to have our show last week, of course. And Dave and I were just, I think flabbergasted is a word, right? With the Green and Lake, how that ended up. But I'll tell you what, it's what you said earlier. Mark Geis has got this team where they need to be, playing their best football at the right time of the year. They showed it against Lake. They took that 3rd seed away, took a shared Federal League title away from the Blue Streaks, and follows it up with an almost identical performance Friday night against St. Charles. And I know, in the box, Dave, one thing Dave said, I hope we don't see a running clock. And halftime came, and he looked at me and goes, running clock.
Yeah, Dave, and I think you can typically set your watch to that with the 1, 2, and 3 seeds most of the time when you've got 16 qualifying. I mean, you were coaching back in the day of taking 4 and then taking 8, which I played under, and with 16, you can typically, those 16, 15, 14 seeds, when they've got to go and play an animal, a big monster, you're rolling to one of the top dogs, you see a lot of running clocks.
Right. Well, it's kind of surprised. I looked around the state at the various upsets, and I saw a couple 14s won and a 15 won. But, watching pregame warm-ups, I just kind of had a feeling that it wasn't going to be St. Charles's night. Green was out there, and they were in their routine. And, you have an advantage, coming out of your own locker room and, playing at home and feeling comfortable there. And they're, really comfortable in their warm-up routine. And I'm looking for St. Charles, and you coming out? You guys coming out? And eventually, about halfway through warm-ups, they just kind of milled out there and just kind of, I thought kind of cruised and went through the motions. I told Jim, I think this one's going to be a running clock game.
Yeah, Jim, you're a body language guy, man. You can read that. When somebody gets
Absolutely.
off the bus, you're like, this is probably not going to go well. We haven't even ran a play yet.
No. And I'll tell you what, when you don't see the opposing or the traveling team come out for the national anthem, which they did not, and Dave looked at me and goes, where are they at? And I go, Coach,
what's up with that?
I'd have to ask that one to you, brother.
We're going to defer to the second half.
I'm not really sure, but again, I'll tell you what, it was all green. I mean, I'm going to tell you what, Dave and I talked about this, and again, we'll talk about the matchup, coming up, which is I think going to be very exciting. But I mean, you got the sophomore Tyson Hunka behind him. You got Jordan Bale again, as you said, Jordan Bale, twice now our Hilscher Clark Player of the Week, both times. Just did an outstanding job. And, then you got Antonio Martin, of course, who is there. Bagley, of course, is back. But here was the thing. And Semino Manson, walks on the field. First time he's back since September 5th, I think, sometime around that time, is a nice punt, right? And, I'll tell you what, you guys, I just love coaches, right? And Coach Geis brings him in just for a couple series, right? Just, because Hunka was doing very well and really didn't need it, but yet wanted to get his feet wet, knowing that going down the way, Manson's going to be, called upon. But for me, one of the most coolest things of the night was, we're into the running clock, and they brought out a little freshman. And obviously, I looked at Dave. I said, "That's about how big I was in high school. Just this little guy." And he kicks the extra point. And the dudes on the team are picking him up and swinging him around. And his name's Logan. I'm gonna shout him out, Logan Norat. And it was cool. So cool. I mean, he come to the sideline and dudes are almost passing him down the sideline.
So Manson didn't start.
No.
So I was thinking, looking at that game from afar, that Manson being in a game that somebody else to account for who's a weapon, thinking maybe that opened the running game up, but that wasn't the case, huh?
Absolutely not, Dave.
No, for 2 straight weeks, I've been surprised, because I always saw Green as a empty, one-back team that likes to spread it and throw it, but their identity has been to run the football.
Yeah, and Semino really cut his teeth last year as one of those wide receivers in that 5-wide set. So interesting to see what they do with him coming back now. Obviously, we'll talk more about that round 2 matchup that you and Dave will be on here this Friday
ready,
night.
Coach.
Live video, live audio coming from Green High School. Shout out to our one of our favorite athletic directors. We don't want to put him in a box, but I'll tell you what, he's close in here to me because he's a Golden Eagle. My guy Eric Musey, the state champ from Glen Oak. Shout out to you and everything you do, hooking us up. Oh, hey, man.
Yeah.
Drop it in. Boom. There you go. Golden parachute for Eric Musey.
I think that was the Eagle claw.
It was the eagle.
That's what that was.
Yeah, it was the
Golden
eagle
Eagles.
landing.
Yeah, don't forget. They're not just Eagles. They're Golden Eagles. Okay. So also a rematch that we got a chance to see last week. In Week 10, I was on the South-Northwest game. South was able to go 10-0. They were able to wrap up the title. First perfect season in school history. Shout out to you guys, man. That's pretty special to be able to have that now. I know Superintendent Brett Yeagley was ecstatic afterwards. I know Andy Harm, Matt Trissel, all the guys, Coach Dennis, I'm really proud of what that team has done. They rematched Northwest in Week 11, and, Jim, you can think sometimes if you play a team twice in one season, typically if you lost the first time, you got a better chance the second time. Having them in consecutive weeks still didn't work out in that favor. Obviously, Poochie Snyder over there, that's an X factor that you have to deal with. But it was kind of song remains the same. They kept it from being a running clock, which was Week 10 for a good bit of that third quarter. A 35-7 ball game. Northwest, they exit the playoffs. Canton South continues to roll, and into round 2 they go.
Absolutely. And I'm not looking on your notes, but I'd like you to just share I thought that was a great point you made there.
Yeah, I mean, just,
the
2 familiar opponents, especially back-to-back weeks, to me, nothing proves you're a better team by winning twice in a row,
right?
And by 3 scores. Kudos to Canton South for not overlooking them, coming off a ball game where they just handed it to them Week 10 and just go right back at it Week 11. So that just tells me how focused that squad is over there, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Poochie's he's already he's passed the record of most career yards. He's coming up on Cam Blair, who's the touchdown king. Will most likely pass that. Again, a tough opponent here with Buchtel coming up, but, I mean, this is one impressive quarterback, Jim. I mean, the things he's been able to do.
No, I mean, and you guys have talked about it all season throughout the show. Pucci, every weekend we just share about
you hear that name every week, man.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to drift to one part of the game that I know, Jeff, you talked a lot about was defense. Would the defense show up? You guys have witnessed as the season has went on, the defense has kind of been a little bit of the Achilles heel.
Yep.
Friday night, the defense majorly showed up. And I understand round one, Northwest, I get it. But the defense has to be ready for these next weeks to come. And
Jimmy B, you've seen Connor Satterfield.
Oh,
how many times is a defense thinking you stopped him in Week 10, and you got to come back and take a Satterfield punch again in Week 11? For a defense, that really says a lot about you.
No, absolutely. And they rose to the occasion. You know, A.J. Pearson, D'Angelo Spears, I mean, shout out. There was one point, I think it was Pearson, that had 3 consecutive sacks.
Yeah.
You know, and then they had a 4th one. So there was 4, quarterback sacks on Pappas, for that. But, Coach DeMarco's got to obviously keep his head up. You guys know as coaches, I mean, he's got Pappas coming back, a sophomore. He's got something there. Yeah, you break your heart losing Satterfield, 1,300 yards in the season for that guy. He led the Stark County and touchdowns with 24. Tough guy to replace. Yep. But I'll tell you what, when Miraglia went to Hoover, they probably thought the same thing, and up stepped Connor Satterfield. So, hey, hats off to Coach DeMarco and those guys.
You bring up Pappas. He's the son of Tucker Pappas I played some basketball against.
Okay.
I remember Tucker Pappas.
He averaged about 31 a night over at Manchester. So he comes from some talented bloodline over there for sure.
What was the natural averaging, if you don't mind me asking? We just want to kind of know for future use.
I don't know if I should tell you ahead.
We're going to have your basketball highlight reel coming out here with winter season, man.
It'll be the shortest commercial of the year. No, I mean, I was like a 15-8-6 guy. I could dunk pretty good.
Okay.
But I played behind Tim Wade my junior year, so I didn't even get on the court until my senior year. So I made the best of it.
I dunked on a play school.
I was almost a triple-double guy.
All right, there you go.
But not quite. But back to Pucci Snyder. It's not breaking news that he's got an offer from West Point, but hearing rumors that he took a visit.
Yeah.
After being committed to Sacred Heart. So
I know we talked about Eastern Illinois. They've come into the fold too. I mean, the deeper of a run he makes, I mean, is that not just validating him anymore, Dave? I mean, most people are saying like, oh, the guy may not be tall enough to go to an elite Power 5, but the guy's got it right here. He can run. He can pass. He's got a cannon. He's accurate. He's a leader. He's a tough-as-nails quarterback. I mean, what else do you need this guy to prove?
Yeah, I know. And you said the deeper they make a run, the more eyes that get opened up, to his talents. And, talked to his basketball coach earlier this summer. I played golf with Coach Lou Conley, basketball coach.
Yeah.
And he couldn't just say enough good things about Pucci Snyder, the individual. It's football season in July, and Pucci's getting ready for football. But yet he's still calling his coach, asking about basketball and how things are going. And, I just, Coach Conley couldn't just, say more good things about, just the leadership and the integrity of a Pucci Snyder. And I think more people hear about those kind of things. It's going to open up, maybe more doors, for him. We'll see.
Well, if West Point is calling you, doesn't that put you at a level of integrity and
Oh,
morality
exactly.
and value-based?
Mm-hmm.
And you're spot on, Dave.
It's not an easy lifestyle to go through West Point. I mean, I heard, as a freshman, anybody can approach you on campus and say, page 12, paragraph 6, recite it, or your own push-ups.
Wow.
Out of the manual this big.
Wow.
So it's
I'd
on
be this
top
big.
of
Discipline and focus, man.
on top of playing football, it's some discipline.
Wow. Yeah, big stuff right there, man. I'll tell you what, I think Pucci's one of those guys. As a coach, you just like, if I had a whole lineup of these guys, nobody would ever beat us. Talk about a lineup of guys that are hard to beat right now. When we talk about long trips, Central Crossing out of Grove City had a long trip to make up to go over to Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. They would fall to the Massillon Tigers. That was a 1-16 matchup that we talked about. Didn't get to running clock arrow. Thought it might have. JP kind of shot us a little side message. I think said we could probably drop 100 tonight if we wanted to. But
He texted that to you?
but it said 41-6. That's just a tough trip. We talked about people having to make those road trips. Just wanted to highlight that as Massillon starts to make their run. The Tigers would defeat Central Crossing out of Grove City 41-6. So a salute to that defense. I'll tell you what, Cody Fair, who we're getting excited to see here with wrestling season coming
brother.
up,
Yep.
alongside Pringle. Dorian's starting to pick up some more offers. I know Toledo just came in, so see a little battle there trying to undercut the Bowling Green team that has already gotten the commitment from number 3, so we'll see how that pans out. Deeper run, more teams. As Dave said, eyes will be on you, and we expect the Tigers to make that run. How about McKinley and Strongsville? Speaking of the Tigers, coming off the backside of Week 10 and everything that happened, Jeff, you can say what you want about a fight in the handshake line. My personal beliefs are you had 4 quarters to handle your business. You don't get it done in between there. Doesn't say a whole lot about you if you're yapping and jawing and pushing and shoving in the handshake line. Didn't see really guys throwing a bunch of punches, anything crazy that would warrant something a little bit outstanding of disqualification or not being allowed to play extra. But for me, I was wondering how McKinley would respond from that, because really the elephant in the room was the scoreboard at 35-0. McKinley bounced back and performed pretty well against Strongsville.
To me, Stark County is starting to impose their will on other outside teams, and we're starting to see that. I mean, we play hard-nosed football here in this county, and it's starting to show whenever you bring other schools in, not only from other states but also surrounding areas. 391 total yards to their 176. Nino Hill started running the rock a little bit, got 156 and 2 tutties. So, to me, the McKinley defense, could be the difference going down the stretch. We know they can put some points on the board. We know sometimes they're a little suspect in the special teams area. Yeah. So if they can clean that up, I think they're in a good position. They can make a good run.
One of the things, Jim, obviously it always comes down to, as a coach, you're going to preach it. Don't make stupid mistakes. If you can clean that up, eliminate penalties, don't turn the football over, don't give the opposition, whatever sport you are participating in, don't give somebody easy opportunities or chances to hurt you. And if McKinley doesn't do that, I think they're a pretty good football team.
No, absolutely. And as Dave and I talk about all the time, keep the yellow hanky off the field.
You go.
And I think you're right. I think that, again, key word that we gave about McKinley a few weeks ago was discipline.
Yep.
If they can stay disciplined, if they can stay focused, do as you're saying, keep the turnovers to a minimum. I think they're going to have a pretty decent opponent. We'll talk a little bit later about St. Ignatius coming up. That's a very deceiving record, I think.
Sure is.
But again, I think Coach has them ready, and we could see them in round number 3.
Well, sometimes you're dealing with, like you said, discipline during the season. Coach, you can probably speak to this, that there's a difference between regular season discipline and then everybody in the squad knowing we win tonight or we're going home. Do you want to stop playing football, or do you want to keep playing football?
That penalty, coach, in the postseason is so much more magnified.
Absolutely.
Because that causes you to go home and end your season.
Right. And, I give kudos to Coach Hall. I mean, I know he's been fighting the discipline thing all year long, and he's trying to do things the right way and not only, coach football, but also, teach these young men, about, being men.
Right.
Yeah.
And, after how ugly Week 10 was there, to get them back on track and to go win a football game there.
A decisive victory.
And, I got to give a big shout out to Coach Hall for
absolutely
getting that thing organized and getting it back on the
impressive
tracks.
Yep.
Dave, another one we can kind of speak to with you on that as we look at the Glen Oak-Lorraine matchup. I know that Scott Garcia, and I can speak to it because I'm a graduate of that culture over there. We've gone through some ebbs and flows of having people that are super accountable, team players, disciplined, all that stuff. And then there's times where it can kind of get away from you over there at Glen Oak. We've had an up-and-down culture over there. Nothing against my Golden Eagles. I love the program. I bleed green and gold. But we've struggled in those areas, finding a way to win games and finish because there's not that standard of excellence there that is right over here across the street in the Turk when you talk about the history of McKinley.
Right.
So for Glen Oak to get their first playoff victory at home since 2009, beat a good Lorraine football team. That was a 9-8 matchup. We don't know what we're going to get there. It was a tight ball game.
Right.
They come from behind, figuring out how to win a playoff game from behind. That's not an easy thing to do. Scott Garcia, I think, has a team that is completely different from what rolled out in Week 1 and Week 2 to what's coming out here now in Week 12.
Well, I knew when he took the job back that they were eventually going to get this thing on the right track.
Yeah.
When he took the job the first time, I thought the one thing he instilled was toughness. They were a physical, smash-mouth, hard-nosed, football program that had success. It got better and better and better when he steps away, and things kind of went, off the tracks for a while. But I knew once he got there, he was going to do it, his way, the right way. And, I think the playoff win the other night was a good, endorsement of, what he's done here the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, Jeff, I think it was pretty cool. Everybody talking about Adrian and what he was able to do, battling the flu and
the guy
coming out there and being a gamer.
Guy pulls a Bill Russell, comes out and says, "Coach," texts the coach halftime with the flu and says, "I'm showing up at second half."
They said he was at home during the first half, kind of watching.
He was at home.
What?
He was. Yeah, he was home with the flu, live streaming the game. He saw the look on his teammates. This is a story. It's a movie script.
Right.
It is. Saw the look on his teammate's face after the interception late in the first half and thought, I got to figure this out.
Superman suited up.
You know,
they call that a dirty bird.
took some Sudafed and rolled.
The milk buttered up, baby. Milk did what it did.
That was
They do,
extra
baby.
churn, man.
Yeah.
Extra churn
That's
on
a
that
great
one.
story.
No,
It's
Now,
awesome.
if they happen, I'm not saying they're going to go and win the state title or anything. You got St. Ed's
it's a
this
great
week.
story, though,
But
man.
if they could somehow make it even a run from this, that's a movie script all day long.
Listen, they celebrated beating McKinley like it was the Super Bowl. If they beat St. Ed, I'll tell you what. Something might catch on fire and play low.
There may be a statue. There may be a statue of Coach Garcia out front of the school. You know. But, and it's awesome having Coach here, right? I mean, we call him Coach for our fans out there. Dave coached 25 years over at Hoover. Congratulations joining the retirement club,
Hey,
brother.
I love it.
I'm with you.
It's not a bad lifestyle.
You two cats just keep working there. But, and I know you guys talked about it a while, and, Coach, your comment, too, of making adjustments, not on-field adjustments during the game, but during the season. And, Jeff, you talked about this, how you saw a shift of what Coach Garcia did with some of his personnel, and, man, it's made a difference.
I saw them 2 times within the first 4 weeks do games, and it was Burt off tackle, was Cole Anderson quarterback, and then he made the adjustment. He went with Adrian at quarterback, and he went with Johnson up the middle, put Burt in some jet sweeps and get him in some space. And it's just cleared everything up. Look at it. They're 6 points away from being undefeated in the Fed.
I think you can kind of set your clock to the moment where I think it was right after they inducted me to the Hall of Fame the night that they beat
Oh, here we go. And the speech. It was a speech, Dave. You haven't heard about the speech.
And the speech.
Yes.
But in that game is when Jamal Johnson really came out onto the scene.
Yep.
And since then, it seems like that's been a different Glen Oak football team. I mean, the dude's he's been ripping off 200-yard-plus games, 100-yard-plus games. But you said it. Johnson between tackles, work some other things, keep that the defense wondering what Rennie Wilson's doing over there. What you got up your sleeve, Rennie?
Now you don't just have one thing to do. You got 3. You got Burt in a slot. You got Burt that can tuck and run. You got Burt that can get to the outside. You got Johnson running down your throat.
Coach,
and then they can throw the ball. I mean,
you were just talking about coaching defensive ends back there at Hoover, and you were part of 10-0 teams at Garraway, at Hoover. You know how hard that is to do, but how hard the pressure is on a defensive end to deal with all of those things that he just said. You've got to have some really good dudes coming off the edge.
You got to have good dudes. You got to have disciplined dudes. Nowadays when you see the zone read, the zone, the RPOs you're seeing.
They're just watching what that defensive end does. You take too far of a step upfield, boom, we're handing off.
Yep, you're going to get naked.
Collapse
the other way, absolutely. So it's not only guys that are just athletic and strong and they can play, but you got to have guys that are disciplined and well coached as well. And he's got a great staff over there as well. That he's kept and. It's just a matter of time. I'm not surprised that they're having the success they are because he's such a good coach.
Yeah, Coach Mike Cook doing a great job over there at defensive coordinator. Wouldn't doubt if he maybe be the next guy up over there.
They've averaged, I think, the best. They've given up, I think, 14.5 points this year in D1. Wow. I think it's number 1 in D1. Wow.
Keep it up, Coach Cook. Keep it up, Coach Garcia. Round 2 coming up. We'll talk about that here in just a second. TJ Downing, Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, Dave Burtscher here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Stark Media High School Football Weekly. Want to give a special shout-out to some of our partners, always presented by Eagles FOE 190 and Hilscher Clark Electric Company. Also McNeil & Sons Tree Service, LPL Financial, H&H Truck Parts, Drive Mine, LPL Financial, Lindsay's Pizza, and CH Vallis and Associates. All right. Jimmy B, as we look to another long trip that a team has to take and getting it done on the backside of it, the Hoover Vikings went down there, took on DeSales. We know all of that history there, not only in their football program, but all of their sports programs. Right. Always tough to take on St. Francis DeSales, especially when you're doing it at their house and on the backside of a 2-hour road trip, getting off the bus, dealing with the bus legs, right? Not having the greatest of regular seasons as at North Canton. You've been on a couple of those calls. You've gotten to see them all the way from Bookdale to the end of the year. And what they just did last week was huge, building confidence. You get the game-winning field goal, a 22-yarder at the end, which we talked before we went on here, probably is almost like a 35-yarder in that type of situation. Sure. But for Hoover to get that win, to be able to come back here and face off with a Federal League foe in Green in round 2, what that just did for Brian Baum's locker room, cannot be quantified. However you want to add it up, that just gave you some juice.
No, absolutely. And that's why Dave and I know we're just so excited about Friday night, because we know how well the Bulldogs are prepared. That win on Friday night for the Vikings may have just tipped the scales. And you got to remember, when they played in Week 9, it took the second half for the Bulldogs to come back and seal that deal. I mean, in fact, I think I picked the Vikings that night, and I'm watching the scoreboard, and Dave's reading them going, no, stop.
Think about Lindsay's Pizza.
I'm thinking we're going double or nothing on the other. Okay, but anyhow, no, back
double
to
crust.
Double crust. But, again, we talk special teams all the time and how important it is, man. And I tell you what, when I saw Buchtel and Hoover Week 1, and both teams had great kickers, I thought, for high school kids. And Paul Koskovich, man, just you talk about, and I'm sure they probably had a timeout. I'm sure they probably tried to ice him. And that young man ice in his veins, right? It meant nothing, and he puts it through right at the end. In fact, Dave and I were trying to keep the call going because we kind of wanted to see who was going to be so we could announce it on air. And it wasn't, 3 minutes after we shut down, Dave goes, they won. Yeah. I go, what? And he goes, yeah. And boy, there's that smile. Yeah, he was so excited. Yeah. But the one thing that I think we have to be concerned a little bit about, and Coach, you can probably speak to this. Hoover was up 20-7 at one point. Right, I mean, they definitely had rolling on all cylinders down there, and of course a little bit of noise. Right, Ryan Day's son, R.J. Day, is a quarterback, freshman, but still, and this young man battled right back and forth, and he brought him back into that game. So what I say about what we got to watch for is that defense. The Hoover's defense has got to be ready. But they were ready that night. Again, Mason Ashby, one of our Hilscher Clark Electric players of the game, a 90-yard touchdown run. And but again, with Derlin back,
that was a kick return, though, right?
That was a kick return.
So special teams all over the place.
Oh, wait till we talk about the matchup this week. What that could look like over there, right, Dave?
Right.
Oh,
Absolutely.
My goodness.
It's interesting because this is a Week 9 rematch. It wasn't like they played early in the year. This is a Week 9 rematch. It's
fresh, man.
Yeah, it's fresh. I talked to Coach Baum yesterday, and he says how excited his kids are for the rematch. They wanted to play green because they think, it's a chance for a revenge, or they can prove themselves here, here in the playoffs. But you're going to have Carson Derlin. You didn't have him Week 9. That's going to be a huge factor as well for the Vikings.
Exactly, and Manson comes back. So neither team had their starting quarterback in that game. So, again, it just takes it to another level of what we're going to see Friday night with both those. I mean, I'm guessing, right, Manson may start. It may be time, but you're spot on, Coach.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I got loyalties both ways. Coach Geis, Green, he's one of my guys.
But they're all orange, so you can wear orange and you'll be okay.
I love the pictures that you get, Jimmy B, before the games when he's always talking to Coach Geis, because you can just see Coach Geis is taking all the info and knowledge that Coach B has given to him, man, just totally dialed in and just hearing it all. And that's a respect thing between coach and player. So I'm sure that's got to be fun for you to be able to see this.
It's great. I've been watching Coach Geis' career ever since Brucestown. He built that program from really nothing, and then took them to the regional finals where they lost a closely fought game with Kirtland one year. Went to Kent Roosevelt, and after a year took the Green job. And there was a lot of people criticizing whether or not Green should join the Federal League. They should have stayed in the Suburban League or whatnot. But he's taken this program at Green and has taken it to a whole new level. Obviously, the state semifinal appearance. The way they won the regional finals, he beat Massillon and. Coming off another good year after battling some adversity mid-year with injuries. And credit to him, credit to his staff. I know he's really proud of his kids. He's really proud of his staff as well. They worked so hard, and he's really been very, very pleased with the job his coaches have done.
Now, here's a question for you, Coach. As TJ said, you're shooting that picture. Do you think I'll be able to get a picture of you in the middle, Coach Geis on one side and Coach Baum on the other before the game?
That's a good question there.
Can you work on that?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't want to get those guys too off their game. Their game mojo.
Two thorns.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
But, again, it's going to be a great game, because like I said, they're familiar with each other. Obviously, I think seeing Green play the last 2 weeks, their ability to run a football, that's going to be a big challenge for Hoover, because that's been one of the things that they haven't done as well this year, stop the run game.
Yeah, Jeff, you had a chance to see Central and Cardinal. You called that game alongside Jamie Falls night. And Coach just mentioned Kirtland. That's obviously who Central, after getting that victory over Cardinal, they've gained that privilege of going and playing Coach Laverty and that one seed.
Is that a privilege?
Good luck there, pal.
Right.
But I'll tell you what. There ain't one guy I'd rather have leading the ship going into that ball game than Jeff Lindesmith, man, because he will have those boys ready. And one of the boys that is always ready is Dan Boron. He was your Hilscher Clark Electric Player of the game. Number 22 just gets it done. And, again, you talk about all facets of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. Number 22 always shows up.
Man, I tell you what, he's hard to tackle. He is shifty. He's strong below, he's got big thighs. He can just run through people. He can also spin around. But shout out to coach of Central that some of the calls he made, there was 2 minutes left in the game or left in the first half. And he calls timeout, forces a fourth down, forces them to punt, gets the ball at their own 20 with maybe 18-yard line with 50 seconds left, 45 seconds left. They go 80 yards.
Wow.
But the play was they were on their own 48-yard line. They throw a hook and ladder to Boron, who gets outside. It was I want to see this on video because he stiff arms, breaks 2 tackles, one guy to beat. The guy shoves him out of bounds, looked like, at the 10. He tiptoes like this for 8 yards, dives straight out like Superman, and caught the pylon tutty.
Wow.
It was
one of the best touchdowns you've seen this year.
That best play I've seen in years, and they walk into the locker room up 13-7 off that.
Wow.
But kudos to coach for that time management, which I was kind of wondering if they were just going to take a knee going to the half at 7-7. He said, "Heck no, I got 2 timeouts."
Hey, it sounds like Varsity Blues, man.
It was.
He didn't give it to Billy Bob. He didn't want to throw it to a Jonathan Stangl running downfield, the 6'7", 315-pound tackle.
And then
good job giving it to 22.
Second half they came out and the Central defense showed up. There was a little bit of loose ball control on both sides of the ball, a little bit, but then Boron got the ball. Boron didn't get the ball a whole lot second half. He got it a lot second half and just started running over people.
Jeff, they said that a couple injuries there. Obviously, the starting quarterback goes down. Betts, also Tabellion, with an injury. Have you heard anything? Do we think they're going to be ready? Do we hear how bad maybe those were?
Without asking the question, they both were concussion related. They were both in concussion protocol. They both went down pretty hard.
So it could be highly doubtful that they'll be back this week.
Very doubtful, yeah. Okay. I didn't check on it, but that would be my guess.
Apex Surgical.
I
love them, but I hate them. I hate
having to bring it up. But
they're awesome.
We love our guys at Apex Surgical.
Absolutely.
Also, check out everything Jeff's doing over at Ohio.net, and we'll talk more about what Jimmy B's got going on over at Drive Mine Group. And a special shout out as well to Spirit of Stark, Simon Says Promotions, Finally Here Ohio.com, Cackley Insurance, and our great friends at the Leatherneck Nation MC, the Sam Center, and Save22.vet. All right, guys, last one before we head to break here. Another Federal League matchup as we look for that rematch here in Week 2, Round 2 of the playoffs, Week 12. Lake and Perry got it on last week. Same tune. Lake really just handled business. What else is there left to say other than their guy, Nathan Baker? He does it all for him. Stud player. Been multiple weeks now. He's been a Hilscher Clark Electric Player of the game. Number 2, when you get it into his hands, he can do some pretty special things. I know he did some stuff kind of like what Jeff was talking about Dan Boron did. I mean, break 3 tackles, find the end zone, whether you got to dive, Superman, whatever you're doing, you can kind of count on Baker to get it done.
No, absolutely. But I'll tell you what, again, I'm going to shout out Coach DeGeorge, right? I mean, they went 5 quarters without scoring a point, right, until they finally in that second quarter, put some points on the board. And word on the street is he went into the locker room and said, basically threw the gauntlet down. He says, guys, it's time. Turn it on. Yeah. Because that game was close. Dave's reading, off the LPL financial scoreboard. He's giving scoreboard updates, and Perry's right there in that game going in, and then all of a sudden, one of the, not the last one, but second to last update, Lake did what they've done all season, right? I mean, like you said, Nate Carr. I did it again. I'm thinking
Sunday,
about Nate Baker. That's Sunday. Sorry, Nate. That's twice I've done that. Boy, I'm in trouble.
How can you forget Nate? I mean, he's the player of the week every week.
I know, brother. I want to tell you the guy. But we always talked about it was a 1-2 punch. It was Nate Baker on offense and that defense step up. And I'll tell you what, Christopher, Lippy, those guys did what they had to do that second half, took care of business. And I tell you what, the Blue Streaks, again, we'll talk later what's coming for them, but they're going to be ready.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well-coached offensively, defensively, all facets of the game. And I tell you what, Charlie Christopher is a guy he's just jumping out further and further on the radar when it talks to being a junior, the lineage that he has with his dad, Matt. also the size, the frame, the speed, the athleticism, the toughness is all there. So watch the recruiting board blow up for him. All right, we're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down a couple more games and get ready for round 2 of the Ohio High School playoffs. You see it, it's up on the board there, 50 minutes until it starts. No, that's actually, we're lying. But it is round 2. We got that one right. But we got the final countdown going here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame inside of the presentation room. Again, make sure to check them out, courtesy of our friends at OHSAA, with their hours of operation 9 to 5 here on championship weekend. That will be November 30th. That's a Thursday. That's one game, Division II. That'll be starting at 7 o'clock. And then on Friday and Saturday, you'll have 3 championship games each day. Stop out here before or after the game. If you want, they have stuff online to show you all the different attractions, but take it from us here first. We come out here and film all the time, whether you're down there in the locker room, the hologram setting with Joe Namath walking out there, and it feels like you're sitting there talking to Joe Namath, or, when they go in there and talk to the bus. I mean, they talk at night, but Dion talks all the time. So go hear from Coach Prime in the bus room. But just a ton of great things here with the excellence and history of the game. It's the greatest Hall of Fame on the planet, the Pro Football Hall of Fame Museum. Stop out and check them out 9 to 5. All right.
At C.H. Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked C.H. Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose C.H. Vallis & Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's C.H. Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
The Fraternal Order of Eagles number 190 in Massillon wants you. Stop down to the Massillon ARE at 303 Wyrick Boulevard Northwest. And like our over 1,800 members experience daily, your Eagles membership will give you access to great food and drink specials. Having a party, hosted in our banquet facility, and seat up to 400 people. When you're coming through downtown Massillon, stop by the Eagles and sign up. And for a small fee, you'll have access and be a part of a fraternity that donates over $100,000 a year to local charities. The Fraternal Order of Eagles ARE number 190 in downtown Massillon. Stop by or call us today at 330-832-7385. The leader in quality drivetrain components, H&H Truck Parts is a name you can trust. Located in Valley View, Ohio at 5500 South Cloverleaf Parkway, H&H can handle all your heavy-duty truck needs. Come in and exchange your transmission, differential, or power steering gearbox. But that's not all. H&H is equipped to handle all your parts needs. Permco pumps, Muncie PTOs, Neapco U-joints, Spicer yokes, new Eaton clutches, and more. Let the professionals at H&H Truck Parts handle your transmission or differential installation in one of their 6 service bays. Specializing in drivetrain repairs, stop by and have your drive shaft balanced, flywheel resurfaced, or your clutch installed alongside the best transmissions and differentials on the road. You know why they're the best? Because H&H is Ohio's largest purchaser of Eaton Fuller parts. Need a blower or a pump? H&H distributes Paragon and Permco brands. Names you can trust with your livelihood on the road. Call H&H Truck Parts today for the leader in heavy-duty truck parts and service. Call locally at 216-642-4540. Toll free at 800-601-4540 or check them out online at hhtruckparts.com. Welcome back in on Stark Media High School Football Weekly. I'm TJ Downing, joined by Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, and Dave Burtscher, filling in for our guy Rod Strata here today at the Pro Football Hall of Fame inside of the Presentation Center. All right, as we just broke down a lot of the matchups from round 1 of the Ohio High School Athletic Association state playoffs, we get ready to dig into round 2. As it says back there on the clock, round 2 is up. And, guys, we just came off the backside of talking about the Lake Blue Streaks. And, Coach, I'll pass this to you first, man. When you come off of an opportunity to win a league title, and what we called it the Battle of 619, right? You trademarked that one.
Yep.
The Lake Blue Streaks, they went over there to Green and they laid an egg. And that hurts, right? But to bounce back, get that round 1 victory over Perry, whatever speech Coach DeGeorge gave him, you take that licking and keep on ticking. And now it's Sunbury Big Walnut. Big Walnut's a team that has a lot of history in the playoffs. for some reason, they haven't been able to get past the Massillon Tigers. A lot of people have had trouble with that. We've seen that matchup, and one thing we know is that Big Walnut with Nate Sievers, the history of the Stovers there. Cade is now one of the best tight ends in the country in college football, but his younger brother is there, and he's an absolute stud. They're well coached. They're disciplined. They've had seasoned playoff experiences, so that helps bringing that back. What are the Lake Blue Streaks? What do they have to do? What are they up against here when they take on Big Walnut?
Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned the whole idea about Week 10. I can remember back in 2001, we played Jackson. We were 9-0, but we had not, won the league yet. I mean, we had to win that night to win the league.
Yeah.
And this was Jay Rohr's senior year. They came over and they took it to us. They won the game. So we're 9-1. We didn't win any part of the Federal League Championship. And obviously, this team was, deflated tremendously. So we had to, within a week, get these guys back up to play Mansfield Senior, Week 11 at our place. And I think, you just to emphasize those kids. It's a whole new season. It's that first season's over. It's now a new season with the tournament there, and you just you build them back up. You build on their competitive instincts there, and you just kind of get them in the right frame of mind to go and get that bad taste out of your mouth and go play Week 11 and go win.
Jimmy B, I just got a bad taste in my mouth, man, because everything that he just said right there was when we went 8-0, that was when we beat TJ and the Glen Oak Golden Eagles. And then the reason that we played Mansfield Senior is because TJ and the Golden Eagles laid an egg in round 1 of the playoffs. So then they lost to Mansfield Senior and we got them. So you think about those things. It's like it's just like yesterday, right?
I felt you shiver.
Yeah, I did. I can still remember we were talking about talking smack in the middle of those games. It takes you back to that moment and such great times. And what a stud player Jay was that senior year. I mean, that year of 2000, 2001, 2002, I mean, just strong years for Federal League teams.
Great teams in the Federal League.
A lot of
doubt.
good ones, man.
Great players.
And again, that was defined by tough, physical, hard-nosed football. We talked about Charlie Christopher. He's a guy that, if he plays at the line of scrimmage and affects some things inside of this running game for Big Walnut, the Lake defense, what we know about them, what we've covered them on, is they can smother you and snuff out an offense that typically has good production and eliminates you to nothing.
No, absolutely. But I'll tell you what, I'm not sure that they've seen a running back like this Sievers kid
right now.
And
He's a player.
But, no, absolutely. And again, not taking away, you're spot on. You football guys, what has to be done, right? And you were talking about that the other day with one of the coaches. It was fascinating listening to that conversation. But Sievers, comes into this 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns. Every time he touches the ball, 7.5 yards. I mean, this kid's for real. And then again, you go to the quarterback, Nair, right? 819 yards passing, 8 TDs, 5 interceptions. But here's the other thing. He's a dual threat. He can run the ball. I mean, this kid, 505 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, between Sievers and Nair, unfortunately, Charlie's got to kind of pick which. But again, you got Lippy, you got Anthony Miller, you got those guys there. I mean, I know Coach DeJours, you guys watch a ton of film, and I know they need know what they need to do to take care of business. But I'll tell you what, again, you talk about the two, and you go back to the Stover kid. Word on the street is they kind of play him, between that linebacker safety position, and he comes downhill, and I guess he is just like a sledgehammer.
He's a hammer. He's in the room. He's a hammer
in
the room.
He is a hammer in the room, on the field, in the kitchen.
Wherever he's at, he's
him
a
and
hammer.
his brother, this kid's a hammer.
Kate, the farmer from Ohio State.
Right, but I'll tell you
he's
what,
a little farmer.
No, but I'll tell you what, Blue Streaks, they stubbed their toe, right? Week 10, it was a big toe stub.
That's life. It happens, right?
It happens,
Absolutely.
and hats off to that team for picking it up, and I know they're going to be ready Friday night.
And I just have to add this in, TJ, that Big Walnut right now, we talk about teams that are peaking. Like Green is, Big Walnut is as well. The last 2 weeks they shut out Canal Winchester, who is the number 2 seed in the region, and they also beat very handily the number 5 seed Columbus Northland. Yeah. Those are their last 2 wins before the playoffs. So they're
12
a team
seeds
right
of
they're a dangerous. They're a
it?
dangerous 12.
The Region 7 that features not only Massillon Tigers that we talked about, but also Archbishop Hoban. We know Walsh Jesuits in there. There's some matchups in there. We're going to talk about that, Barberton and Hoban, coming up here. But, Jeff, as we kind of look to teams like a big, St. Lake may not have seen a running back like the guy Sievers there for Big Walnut. For Canton South, I don't know if they've seen anybody quite like Buchtel this year, and what you're going to probably get out of Stevie Diamond. I mean, he's an excellent quarterback, long-rangey guy, big arm, can run, they're physical. This is not going to be a rollover cakewalk in round 2 for the undefeated Canton South Wildcats.
Not at all. Give me Stevie Diamond versus Poochie Snyder every week. I'm okay with that.
Yep, call that any day.
Buchtel nearly beat Hoover, lost 21-27, so they took them down the stretch there. They got weapons on both sides of the ball. So it's going to be, like you said, this could be a barn burner. There could be a lot of points put up on this one. I think, once again, with Canton South being 12-0, Buchtel 6-5. But, I think that's maybe a little bit of a deceiving record with the schedule they've played, and they've only given up 4.5 points the last 6 weeks.
Recorded 5 shutouts this season.
I mean, so that defense against the Canton South offense, to me, the defense, the difference in the game could come down to, can Canton South reflect that and stop the defense or offense of Buchtel?
Yeah, Jim, you had a chance to see Buchtel when they rolled out for the 2023 season, and as Jeff just mentioned, very easily could have beat Hoover in that game.
Absolutely.
But has this been kind of the same Buchtel team all season long? Like, they haven't really ridden that roller coaster. I mean, they've been
very
punch in your mouth defense, consistent all the way across the board.
Absolutely. I mean, they started the season 0-3. They finish up 6-8. So again, coaches, you talked about peaking at the right time. Right. We're seeing that, and I think the other thing that some of our teams down here, some of our, they don't see quite the number of athletes, right? I mean, Poochie Snyder walks in the field, yes, other athletes, but he stands out. Now you're going to have Stevie Diamond, you're going to have Willie Cheers, you're going to have Justin Hill, on that offensive side of that Buchtel team. Again, another very good place kicker for the Griffins. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you what, it's exciting. I can't believe Jeff didn't ask to switch you games. I thought Jeff might want to run down. No,
for Canton South?
Yeah.
Oh no, I thought he was going to go to Glen Oak for sure.
He's the Birdman.
But I'm looking forward to the next one to see.
No, absolutely. But this is going to be exciting.
No, he wants to go up and talk golf with Coach Tom Lombardo, man. They're golf partners, man.
Yeah. This guy can golf, man. You were spot on. He one-handed beat my two hands.
You know what though? Lombardo on the golf course is much like how he coaches a football game. And he's there all day long.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You got to put your big boy pants on and not and pay attention.
Dave can get in this golf talk. Dave's a good golfer.
Okay. Well, not maybe in that caliber, but I enjoy playing the game. I do.
Stark Media Open.
Yeah, Stark Media Open.
There you go.
My nickname for him is Microsoft because he'll just write, copy, click, paste the drive after drive after drive. He's down the middle all day long.
Coach Lombardo going to be taking on Coach Garcia. We're going to talk about that one next. Here we go. Glen Oak having to roll up to St. Edward. Not going to be easy. We've talked for a while now with the expansion of the playoffs. I believe it was, correct me if I'm wrong here, just last year or the year before, that Glen Oak was a 16. They had to roll up to St. Ed, and you could give whatever analogy you want, but it's almost lamb to slaughter, right? It's going to be a running clock, all that stuff. Different here with this Glen Oak team, though, because as we just talked, they are peaking as well. They've gotten better from week 1 to week 11, but everything has to work out perfectly and then some, right? For this ball game, you need St. Edward to do some things that they typically don't do. Turn the football over. Maybe you get a rainy night. Maybe you can have some of that stuff. You got to get some picks. Maybe you need a special teams touchdown. Whatever it might be, some things have to go differently for what St. Edward than what they usually expect, and everything is going to have to go right for the Golden Eagles.
Well, we mentioned it earlier that Glen Oak's won in the state, Division I, only giving up 14.5 points per game. Now, that's a little bit different going into St. Ed's on the road at their house against that front offense line.
Their defense is number 1 in the state.
I believe
Division
so.
I
believe so for points given up.
That's
I believe
big.
They're around it. If they're not 1, they're right around it. But
we'll say unofficially. Then.
But yeah.
They're close.
But that offensive line pretty much is an all Big Ten offensive line. Now, St. Ed's starting quarterback's down. He re-injured himself.
Casey Bullock got hurt again?
Re-injured himself week 10 against Hoban, and so that's in Glen Oak's favor. Backup quarterback doesn't throw quite as well, so they're going to probably be running a rock. So if Glen Oak can step up, fill some holes and stop the run game, it could be interesting.
And Josh Grottle, their running back too, Jim. It's almost like he's not one of those guys, I don't want to say he just pops out off of the paper. He's a consistent running back, but is probably the best running back that St. Edward could be running that could be beneficial to the Glen Oak defense. because they can tackle him. They can bring him down in space. He's not going to, break a couple tackles with crazy athleticism. He's a head-on runner, and that probably is tailor-made for a head-on defense from Coach Cook and Coach Garcia.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to go back to our week 1 show. Do you remember the conversation we had about, and we got a lot of noise from the community. Why does, Glen Oak play Massillon? Why does Glen Oak play Massillon? You know what? Hats off, Coach Garcia, because now you're walking into a St. Edge and you look at your guys and say, guys, you've played the number 1 team, nationally ranked already. You're going to use that to completely put that together, Coach.
Yeah.
Is that true or not?
The mentality with Division I's different because let's face it, if you win a game or 2 games, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah,
you're in the playoffs, so you're going to probably make the playoffs. So with your non-league, you might as well play as tough of a non-league schedule as you can, knowing that this is going to prepare me for my league play, and then once I go through league play, this has now prepared me for week 11 and beyond. So I absolutely have no problem with playing Massillon because
couldn't do that back in the day. Couldn't do that when only it took 4, took 8 because that was going to keep you out.
You're correct, absolutely.
Week 2 Massillon, week 3 Fitch. From that, the last 8 games, you give Glen Oak 6 points, they're undefeated. They run it. They run 8 in a row. So they're right there. Coach, shout out to Coach Garcia.
Yep.
What he's dealt with over there,
dude,
taking back over, getting these kids back, getting the discipline, like what we talked about early on was an issue discipline-wise. He's got it together, and they're rolling. Can they go in and upset the Giant? We'll see, but they got a puncher's chance.
And they got some great leaders over there, at Glen Oak. They really do. I mean, they got a handful, and, again, going back to what Milk did for that last week game, these guys, they're going to be ready.
And let's not underestimate Milk on the defensive side of the ball. He's one of the better linebackers in the county, but, everybody talks about him as a quarterback for the most part, but he could do some damage on the defensive side of the ball.
Put him with David Potter, right? I mean, those 2 guys at Potter last week, 13 tackles for loss. I mean, come on. I mean, it's going to be exciting.
And that's the deal, man, defensively, just the defensive line. What Jeff mentioned, you've got 3 guys that are committed to Ohio State. You've got another guy that's committed to Michigan. That's a Big Ten offensive line. Mm-hmm. As a defensive line, you were a defensive ends coach. I mean, what are you telling your guys when you're going into that? I mean, I know what Coach Simon told his guys, and that's a defensive line that's got some premier guys. Mike Wright Jr. might be one of the best in the state at the nose guard position. Chase Bonds going to NC State, but still, what do you tell your guys?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I did watch St. Edwards play Massillon earlier this year, and I thought the St. Edwards line had a hard time blocking Massillon because of their speed, their quickness. They play low. You can't play them straight. You got to angle and you got to slant and you got to be moving. And it's that mentality. You rely on your technique. You rely on your coach's schemes, and you play low and you play quick and you try to create havoc there with your speed and your agility.
Jimmy B and I wrote a whole chapter yesterday about line stunts and twists and movements and pitching and blitzes and
slip willies. I mean, it was. I got quite the education. We're not bringing that to combat sports, folks. I'll tell you.
They can't sit and read. They got to move. They got to be active.
Nobody's going to play you straight when you've got. Let's just call it 310 you're averaging across the board. That is a Division I college line. Big there's some education going on right there. Hey, Jeff, you know what? Coach just said right there kind of resonates that teams with 1 or maybe 2 wins on the season make the playoffs. And for St. Ignatius, that was truth this year.
Right.
They're going to take on McKinley. I believe their lone win throughout the season was against Mentor. They faced Mentor last week. They beat them. Now they get McKinley. But, my boy Ryan Franziger, I graduated with him down at Ohio State, was a great player for us there. He's taken over for Chuck Kyle now. He's had the struggle bus this year, but they play the tough schedule too. Regardless, you see a team that gets in the playoffs that on paper it doesn't look like they should, but that can be deceiving.
It really can, and it is deceiving. They're playing a lot of sophomores over there. They knew it was probably going to be a down year, but listen to the teams that they have had to play: Hobens, Eds, Moeller, Fitch, Mentor twice. They're battle tested.
Toledo Central Catholic, 10-0.
Yeah, and so I realize they don't have a Tommy Eichenberg on that side.
Yeah,
but they're not going to lay down. They got good tradition, good heritage, and we'll see. What happens in going up against the Bulldogs.
Jeff, just the combined records of the teams they lost to. 67-19.
Yeah,
that's the combined record of
one
all
of the
those
toughest schedules in the state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell, maybe the country. We'll figure that out on our pick'ems, right? No, we're going to stay in the state of Ohio here.
Here we go.
We will not venture to New
Jeez.
Mexico, Vermont, Maine,
Hawaii.
Yeah, that was we tested that. I think it helped us. We really haven't even been able to tally up that score yet, so we'll figure it out one day. Okay, on to real quick. Let's touch on Streetsboro and West Branch. That's another one, Jeff, that can be deceiving. Not much to be able to go off of on who Streetsboro beat, and then also their lone loss, or that loss early. For West Branch, have they seen anything like Streetsboro? The combined records, you told me them earlier. You can touch on that, but it'll be interesting to see when West Branch and Streetsboro line up how this thing all kinds of it'll shake out. I mean, Bo Alazos in that offense to me at West Branch, that was worth more than a 4 seed. They are ranked 4th. They're going to take on Streetsboro. They're high-powered, but defensively is always kind of the question. Would they be able to shut down another team that could produce points like they do?
Well, yeah, you look at both teams 10-1, strength of schedule. You just start to try to figure that out. They don't really have any common opponents for the most part, but gosh, Bo Alazos with some of the studs he has, tough to bring down. Boston Molinax, Joey Jackson, and Jeremiah Thomas, all studs. West Branch's only loss is to Canfield, who won state last year. And I realize Canfield's not what Canfield was last year, but it's still that program, and it's still some good football over there on that side. And then what Streetsboro's only loss is to a Norton team, who has a really good strength of schedule, not quite as great for Streetsboro as West Branch, I think. But, they did get 2 wins against CVC and Alliance. So, I don't know. I think West Branch can handle it.
They stayed at the Holiday Inn Express. They'll figure something out. Jim, I've said the X factor from when I got a chance to see West Branch against Carrollton is a 6'7", 220-pound tight end / slot receiver who's only a sophomore, Gavin Gregory. He's a guy that I think for West Branch, he'll create mismatches against Streetsboro. Whether you pick on that or you use one of those weapons that Jeff just talked about between Love, Thomas, Joey Jackson, between Mullinix. There's just a lot of things you can do with that West Branch offense.
Well, it's like, some of the teams we've talked about earlier. There's a lot of weapons around Alazos that he can go to, right? I mean, but I'll tell you what, on the flip side there, you got a dual threat quarterback in Cohen Klimek. I mean, I'll tell you what, this kid's numbers, throwing the ball over 1,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But here's the other, on the ground, over 1,300 yards, with 166 carries, 12 TDs. So this guy's going to be all over. And you throw in Preston Happerton. Again, this guy goes from the running back position out to the slot position. So, again, you're right. I mean, that's what's going to be kind of cool. And going back to kind of what you said, I did the same thing, Jeff, trying to look at those schedules, right? And again, other than that CVCA win, and so forth, and, of course, Alliance, as you said, I mean, the games that West Branch had won, those teams combined 42-60. And Streetsboro 39-65. So, I mean, again, you get what you get. Your schedule's your schedule. Nothing against anything. But
I tell you what, I'm going to go back to Bo Alazos. I saw him play against Zerbrug up close, and you couldn't tell the difference between him and Zerbrug. You brought up the deeper you go into playoffs, the more eyes you get on him. And I think a deep run for West Branch is really going to help Alazos get recruited, because I think he's a D1 talent.
Dave, one of the things that Jim just mentioned there, you look at Streetsboro, Norton, what Streetsboro failed to do in that game is something that West Branch is obviously going to key on when you go back there and you study. When you look at tape, what did Norton do? And Norton's a good program, Jim. Sure. Former administrator
That's
there.
Right,
the big dog at Norton, big dog on campus. We're going to talk a little bit more about them and what Travis and the guys are doing up there at Norton. Some good things, undefeated regular season for them. But when you go back and you look at that loss, West Branch is probably going to find out what type of keys Norton was seeing. It was early in the season, but still what you can take away from there to be able to help you here now in Week 12.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they do film exchange anymore,
Yeah.
but I know they used to have choice as far as 4 games, and, you'd want to get some recent games, but like you said, pick that game they lost. What went wrong? What did they not handle well? What maybe they have weakness in there. So I'm sure if they got that film, even though the game was earlier in the year, you still kind of see maybe where they are a little bit weak at there. So it'll be interesting.
I know Coach Hertler, he used to find some good meeting locations when he did film exchange.
Really?
Convenient to a local watering hole.
Oh, Oh, okay.
Me and Harmon's.
You
I'll
had
bring
me-
your
yeah.
3 game
You had, me,
tapes.
you had me scared there a moment.
If he was going out for films, it was a watering hole. He said one of his assistants, "It's get back as soon as you can."
Oh, good stuff. All right, when we look at Hoover at Green, you guys are going to be on that game before we head out of here to break. I think everybody's excited for this. When you talk about a Federal League matchup, how both of these teams are performing right now, how do you guys both, ahead of calling this game on Friday night, kind of see this all shaken out here? Because for me, I think Green with the home field advantage, just peaking. Hoover, roller coaster. You got Derlin back. Got weapons with Brocker and Ashby, but I don't feel like personally I see them beating Green over there.
It's interesting when you look at Hoover. They got some momentum off of beating their rival. You get the momentum from that last second win on the road at the Sales there. They're trending well. Obviously, Green trending very well. Is again, for me, I want to see how Hoover's defense plays against Green's running game. That's been sort of an Achilles heel with Hoover this year, is stopping the run. Hudson, Buchtel, other games in the Federal League there. That's been sort of their bugaboo, is how stopping the run, getting handled up front there. So what are they going to do here to stop Green's running game there and make them do things that maybe they don't want to do with the sophomore quarterback? So that to me is going to be interesting. And then they got to clean up special teams. Those two special teams miscues were huge in that game. And went and watched practice yesterday, and what were they working on? Special teams. So, clean those things up there. But it's going to be a great game because, again, the Hoover kids got that revenge factor in their mind, Felt that they let that game get away week 9. Now we got a chance to play them week 11 there, and I know how that feeling is there as a coach, but it's gonna be interesting.
You heard,
I'll tell you what.
How he dropped that "we" in there. You still got a little bit of that Hoover in it.
Yeah,
You're gonna watch him on
catch
Friday
that.
night.
Yeah.
You have to watch him.
All right, I will. I will, boss. I got him.
Yeah.
I got him handled, babe. No, I tell you what, guys. Just coming off a holiday, whether this is spooky, I think maybe probably ominous is more the word, right? But in 2021, Green upsets Hoover in what round of the playoffs? Oh, that would be round 2.
That one
Absolutely.
right
That
back
would be
there.
the number 2.
I was there that game.
You were there.
I stood on the sideline.
You were coaching.
Yeah.
Sorry,
well,
Coach.
I wasn't coaching, but I was watching.
Oh, you were watching.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So he wasn't as pissed off after.
but think of that. I mean, that's really cool. I mean, here, what could happen Friday night? Could we see the opposite?
Right.
I mean, with Derlin, I mean, again, you go back to special teams, both of these guys on kickoff return, Ashby, he can run back. He can run it to the house.
Yeah.
A few weeks earlier than that, you had Baglia and Martin both running back. They both got very good kickers, and Caleb Boyle for the Bulldogs, and we already talked a little bit about Paul Koskovich, for the Vikes. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm telling you what, it's just going to be a great, fun night to call. And Dave, I'm so excited. I'm telling you guys,
game.
I'm telling you, when he saw they won, man, the smile on his face. And I right away, man, I grabbed my phone. TJ, Jim, and Dave would like to do Green, and book.
I don't look. Each one of us has had the chance to do our alma mater. I don't think we've been.
No, we haven't.
What do you mean?
We have not had a chance to do our alma mater, each one of us, yet.
Yet.
There's a yet.
There's
Go
a
ahead.
Yet. There's a Yeti.
My point was.
Okay. I'm just going to correct you, but that's all right.
I've done my
because
alma
Rod's
mater.
not here.
You've
I'm with
done
you,
your
Rod.
alma mater. But my school hasn't played TJ's school both in the booth together.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to be cool.
That'll be fun, man. There's going to be fireworks Friday night. Make sure to check it out all at starkmedia.tkdssports.com. It'll be streaming live for you with video, courtesy of our friends at TKDS Sports and NFHS Network. All right, we're going to step aside. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dig into our pick'ems, have a couple more breakdowns here, and get you ready for round 2
What's
of the
your
Ohio
favorite
High
pizza?
School Athletic Association pizza
Italian.
with
Italian?
mushrooms,
I like
pepperoni,
Italian.
sausage.
No, you might as well.
State
You
final
just keep
weekend
thinking it,
coming
buddy.
up.
Just keep
Hey,
thinking
when
it.
you're in town for state championship weekend,
Yep.
make sure not only do you stop by Lindsay's Pizza, because they got the best. They got the wings. They got the pizza. Jeff and Jim are going to be finding out here, unfortunately, soon. Because
And I tell you what, Dave said that is in his top
lost.
2 pizzas,
Oh, absolutely.
Coach. Top 2.
John Lindsay, my man, gets it done. Also, remember to come out here. Our hours of operation here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame are 9 to 5 every day. Come and tour the museum, see all that it has to offer. All right, we're going to step aside, take a break. We'll be back with more after this. You came to Stark Media for the best? Well, now you got it. Check out Lindsay's Pizza on 2827 Whipple Avenue Northwest inside of the Hillsdale Shopping Center. The preferred post-game pizza of the Stark Media team is open until 11 p.m., and it has all the essentials for game day. Pizza, chicken, salads, and sandwiches are just a click away at lindsays.pizza.com. But you should trust the former Ohio State All-American and just call them right now at 330-477-3800. 477-3800. This is TJ Downing for Lindsay's Pizza, and I approve this message.
McNeil & Sons Tree Service serves the greater Northeast Ohio area by keeping your property clear all year round. Do you have trees that have stretched too close to your home? A rotted tree that has to go? Or perhaps even storm damage? No job is too big or small for McNeil & Sons. We specialize in large tree removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. McNeil & Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so contact us today at 330-606-1126 for all your tree care needs. Or visit us online at mcneiltree.com to schedule your free quote. The professionals at McNeil & Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep your family protected. So call today, 330-606-1126. McNeil & Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with family you can trust.
Cackley Insurance is a locally owned home, auto, and life insurance specialist. Located in Cuyahoga Falls at 619 Portage Trail, Cackley Insurance puts their clients first, and as an independent agent, they are proud to serve their community. As a proud supporter of high school athletics in the community, give Cackley Insurance a call today at 330-929-6006 or visit them online at cackleyinsurance.com. That's K-A-C-K-L-E-Y insurance.com. And thank you for your support of Stark Media and high school athletics around the area. Welcome back here inside of the Presentation Center at the Pro Football Hall of Fame Museum in Canton, Ohio. I'm TJ Downing alongside Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, and Dave Burtscher as we break down Stark Media High School Football Weekly, round 2 of the playoffs. This edition gets a little bit more pressure-packed and exciting when it's win or go home. We know, as we just talked about, the road to Canton with the Ohio High School Athletic Association, that it will be here November 30th, December 1st, and December 2nd, holding court inside of Tom Benson Stadium. The Division I to Division VII state championship games, playing for hardware that weekend, the best hardware of them all to put in your trophy case. All right, guys, as we start to dig into not only a breakdown, but the pick'ems coming up here now, we have Medina Buckeye at Norton. As we ended the last section there, partner, talking about
my
Norton.
Panthers, baby.
My Panthers.
My
okay.
Panthers.
Remember, if you call them round 3, you can't say my Panthers or we.
Oh, no, I won't.
Dave
right.
Dave.
No, I'll tell you
Come
what,
on, let's get it done, boys.
a lot of pride for your guys there at Norton, and some cool little backstories on this game. We'll have some coverage of it for you on our social media platforms. Remember, check out Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, at Stark Media Team, # Stark Media. Our guy Rick Wright will be out there kind of bringing us some updates for you live at Norton. But some good backstories in this game, Jim.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the athletic director, Travis Dobbins, right? I mean, I'm not sure that Travis in class was definitely there as a student. Great guy, his sister Missy. Shout out to both of you guys. I hope you're doing well. His son Lucas Dobbins, just a terror running back up there. Another name, Jacob Ford. His dad, Matt Ford. I mean, so it's and Dave. As we go on, right, we start hearing the names of those of the kids. Even though I thought they might be like in preschool or preschool or maybe middle school, but no, these guys are juniors, seniors. And I'll tell you what, Coach Glenn Kruger over there, 11-0, the Panthers going in, Friday night. But I'll tell you what, on the other side of the ball, right, Medina Buckeyes head coach Greg Dennison. Guess where Greg went to school, TJ?
Norton?
That would be it.
Did I win a pizza? Did I win a pizza?
No, you are not getting Jeff's and I pizza. Stop.
One chicken wing.
I'll give you a wing. You got to. No, absolutely. Greg's a great dude, man. Love Greg. A few years behind me in school, but was there at Norton together teaching as he was coaching football. I was coaching wrestling. But again, it's just going to be an exciting night, right? A number 7 seed versus a number 1 seed. And I'll tell you what, the Panthers are playing good football right now. But, again, don't look past Coach Dennison. There's some real lineage there, right? I mean, brother Matt over at, Canton South, and we know what old Pops did, so he passed it on to his sons.
Just make sure it's a drum, not a flat, man, when I get my way.
No, you're not getting it.
All right,
you're not
here we go.
drum.
Let's check out Massillon at Westerville. Another one of those that I think when we talk about doing a pick-em, the consensus would be Massillon here. Dave, we've seen Westerville South come up over the last couple of years and play Massillon in the playoffs. I can remember calling the game where Will Trell Hartson broke Travis McGuire's record for yards in a single game. It was like 322 yards he went off on South with. So, coming from these teams around the outer belt, outside of the Hilliards and the Pick Centrals and whatnot, when a team like Westerville South will come into Paul Brown Tiger Stadium, they're typically not going to have enough behind them to stay within 2 to 3 scores of the Tigers.
No, I agree. I saw Westerville South play last year against Hoover at Westerville South, and Hoover had opportunities to go win that game. They didn't. But, it's a pretty tough task for them to come, and play the level and caliber of team they're going to play here on Friday. They haven't played anybody like that in their schedule there, and it's going to be a rough uphill battle.
Okay, Jeff, let's dive into our first pick'em right here. I'm gonna lead off. We're gonna talk St. Paul at Malvern. Norwalk St. Paul, very well run program for years. Have had a ton of success. Been in and out of the state championship game throughout the years. They will be at Malvern. Malvern plays some pretty good football, right? They got a nice quarterback, Jared Withrow. He's got weapons. Defensively, I've always kind of said when you can put a 6'4", 265-pound guy out there in a Division VII football game, he's usually going to impact it, and that's what Kyle Bossert has been able to do for Malvern. I'm going to make my first pick here. I'm going to go with Malvern. I like them in this football game. How do you see this thing shaking out, Jeff?
Yeah, I think both teams can put up a lot of points. Like you said, Withrow's got over 2,000 yards passing already, 23 touchdowns, only 4 picks, so pretty good there. 20 of his 23 touchdowns are to Phillips and Smith on the offensive side. Now, I think the difference is going to be that Malvern plays better defense, I think, than St. Paul. St. Paul scores a lot, but they also give up a lot of points. I think in the long run, I've got Malvern.
I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to go take the Flyers. I'm going to take St. Paul. I looked at their schedule. They play a very, very challenging schedule. They've got tradition. They've got program. They're coming off of 2 big wins here, and I know it's a long trip. I know coming here to Malvern from Norwalk there, but I just have a feeling that their program, their tradition, their tough schedule, I think they play a tougher schedule than Malvern does, and that's no discredit to the IVC or Malvern, but I'm going to go with the Flyers.
All right.
I'll tell you what, Coach Livingood, right? Been there since 1991.
Yes.
I mean, it's just that's amazing to him. I think I read where he was there when Bill Belichick was over with the Browns.
He coached my all-time favorite Mount Union running back, Danny Pugh.
Okay.
Danny Pugh was a Norwalk St. Paul guy who played in the state championship game. Again, Coach has had them in and out of the state title games. He's been through Fawcett. He's made the trips there to Massillon, playing in those championship games. That's some pretty good history there. Just not telling you what direction.
No, absolutely not. You're not leaning 300 wins. He got his 300th win last year.
Bet.
Well, no, and I'll tell you what. Jeff and I have learned throughout this entire season. We have a nice to see. You took Malvern, he took St. Paul, so I'm going to split this.
He's hedging his bet.
Absolutely. I'm going to take St. Paul, and I'm going to catch a lot of grief from my family on this one because there is a lot of Malvern connection with my future daughter-in-law and her husband.
Lake Mohawk is revolting right now.
Yeah. So
pitchforks are out.
Jimmy B is going with his buddy Dave.
Okay.
Knuckle up the Flyers.
Yeah.
All right, let's just go back here real quick. Consensus here on Norton Medina Buckeye. I'm going to go with Norton here, home game. You feel the same way?
Oh, buddy, I can't go against my Panthers. You kidding me? I want to be broadcasting that game next week. Let's go, boys.
That wouldn't just be Pitchfork and Malvern. That would be tar and feathers. with Buckeye, you'd be in some real trouble.
Yeah, it would not be good.
What do you got, Jeff?
Buckeye gives up a lot of points. Norton doesn't. I got Norton.
I have the Panthers as well.
All right, so it's a consensus there. All right, one that we're just going to talk about real quick here as we talk about those Massillon Tigers and potentially we'll call it Week 14 matchup. Hoban is going to take on Barberton. I don't know if the Magics have enough magic to be able to handle what Coach Timmy T
Swear
does.
to God, you're stealing my notes.
Magic's magic, man.
With Rod giving poems, and this one with his cliches.
Could be tragic more than magic. I don't know.
Oh, here we go.
Trademark it.
That's it. Yeah, trademark it quick before Rod does.
I like hoping inside of this game. Any kind of side notes that you're kind of thinking of, Jeff?
No, not at all. I was like you said, they're going to need a lot of magic for Barberton to get this one. I mean, Hope is just powerhouse.
Yeah.
They're healthy. They're focused. They have winning tradition.
Yeah.
I think they'll have no issue.
Jim, I believe our Buckeyes just I know they gave an offer to Eli Lee, who plays for Hoban. I don't know if Eli Lee has accepted yet. He'd probably be stupid not to, seeing the success that Chip Trainum's having down there.
Absolutely.
He could be the next Eichenberg. You're a Catholic school guy here in Northeast Ohio. Everybody wants to be an Eichenberg one day. Eli Lee, that defense, a ton of Division I recruits throughout. My boy C. Grant, his son Braden Grant, is starting to pick up offers in that secondary. Anybody that comes across Hoban, whether it's the Tigers and Massillon or it's the Barberton Magics, you're going to have your hands full.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I told you guys, I've not been officially to a high school playoff game just because, I was already into wrestling season and everything else. And I'm just so hoping, wherever Hoban and Massillon, if that matches up, I want to be first in line for the tickets.
They'll meet in the finals, I believe.
Well, they haven't made the decision
now,
from what I understand.
So typically what happens, you get that for the state semis. It happened last year where distance-wise – you had, Toledo Central Catholic, who's now dropped down in Division III. They ended up taking on Kingsmill out of Cincinnati, and they re-bracketed. You had Hoban taking on
Avon.
Taking on Avon. So they kind of Hoban took on Massillon, the game that we called up there in Infocision. So it just you never know how it's really going to shake out. It kind of makes it weird because we've got teams in that Region 5, but we've also got teams in the Region 7, so it's kind of split amongst how it works in Division 2. But as we sit here and talk about Division 2, Region 7, we know that Big Walnut and Lake are going to be squaring off. So, Dave, I'll let you start off, man. You're first up.
Give me a coin. I mean, this is going to be a real battle here. And again, which team, imposes their will, the idea that, Hoover is a big play team with Mason Ashby. I can't imagine that Green's going to be, kicking him the ball.
Yeah.
They're going to have their eyes on him all the way. But, you can't double team them either because you got Zach Brocker, who's the other good receiver here. So they give you, double difficulty there, having, two legitimate threats there that can, beat you deep. But then I go back to, can, Hoover stop the running game? And of Green. So going to be an interesting game, but my loyalties,
You're going there?
I'm looking
That's
for
the way you're going?
I mean, a coin if I can find it.
I tell you, it's going to be a great game
I got
there.
no coin.
And I'm going to have to go with Hoover Vikings.
All right. Wow. Well,
I mean, Coach Geis, don't be upset with me, but
it's all right, Coach. I'll get a picture of you guys together. Yeah, don't you worry.
I've been his good luck charm for the last 2 weeks.
That's what I say. If they win this week, buddy, I think Coach Geis,
Yeah, he's going to want me to do week 4.
Yeah,
the fourth game in a row.
Boy, you have to split us up if Norton wins. Anyhow, no, I'll tell you what. Dave. We're going to have fun in the booth because I'm actually going to say that the Bulldogs are on a roll. Again, you got great weapons on either side of the ball, but I'm going to take the Bulldogs.
Jeff, what you got, man?
Did you say Big Walnut Lake?
It's all right.
You
Dave,
know what we're picking?
Dave is excited about Hoover.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
Now you're going there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Get with the program.
Are you still undecided?
No, go ahead.
What?
You know what? I like it. I'm going to take I got to go with my boy Mark Geis. I think they're
Green.
They're peaking. Yeah, so they're strategizing over here.
Yeah,
but,
right.
You're right. It could be a coin flip. But I feel that Green has something a little bit better going on right now. It's going to be tough.
I think it's going to come down to literally one or two plays down the stretch. I think it's going to be that tight of a ball game. But my gut says Green. I'm going to go with Green.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
As we look further down the line, let's go back. We'll check out Big Walnut at Lake. Big Walnut at Lake. I'm going to lean with Big Walnut. I think the roller coaster that Lake has seen over the last 2 weeks, Jim, you mentioned it, that it wasn't easy coming out of the blocks against the Perry Panthers. And what they're going to be seeing against from Severs and the quarterback who's returning from having a run last year in the playoffs. I like Big Walnut.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the other thing we didn't mention earlier, Cale Jarvis went down again, a little injury there. We know they've been, switching quarterbacks between Jarvis and Kubowski. So, again, playmakers on both sides. In my heart, I think, sorry, Coach, I think we got a few more playmakers on the Big Walnut side than we do the Lake Blue Streak side. So I'm going to have to lean to Big Walnut. But you know what? Irregardless, their next game, Massillon Tigers. So.
Yeah, that's your consolation prize for this.
Yeah, there's your consolation. You get the privilege of playing the Massillon Tigers.
I'm going to be gutsy, and I'm going to say Dan DeGeorge is going to put a plan together for that front seven, and they're going to get it done. I'm going late.
Nice split.
I'm going to go with Big Walnut. I just think their schedule is really, really, a tough schedule.
Yeah.
They come off, like I said, 2 big wins. Canal Winchester, number 2 in the region. Columbus North, number 5 in the region. They beat 2 playoff, teams here. These past couple weeks there, and had the upset win the other night, and I'm gonna go with Big Walnut.
It is. All right, Buchtel at South. For me, I think Pucci has enough to get it done offensively. I think defensively, when you mix in, you talked about it, Jim, 3 sacks from AJ. You've got Landon Karavik. You've got some guys that have kind of stepped up. One of our guy, Meter Frazier, got the interception for a touchdown against Northwest, had a touchdown on offense. Starting to feel themselves a little bit more on defense than what I thought they would have been when I saw the Sandy Valley Canton South game, which at a certain point in that game it could have gone either way. I like Canton South in this ball game.
Well, I'll tell you what, Buchtel came down last year, right? Round 2, took out the Northwest Indians, took care of a Pac-7 team. I'm sure they've got that same thing on their mind, this Friday night. But I'll tell you what, I think Coach Dennison has everything. They've got something. They need to finish a job. Yeah, they got the 10-0. Yes, Pucci's got these. I think they definitely want a lot more. I'm going with Canton South Bobcats.
I know you want me to split here.
No,
but
I don't.
I
Jeff,
can't.
brother.
I can't. I got to go with Canton South. I think I think this is going to be a shootout. I do think Buchtel plays better defense than Canton South does, so I think that could be a struggle for Canton South to score more points on a shootout. But I got to stick with my guy Pucci Snyder and that powerful offense.
Yeah, another great matchup, and again, there's a difference in regards to styles of play here. But again, Canton South seems to be a very senior-led, very together group, going in the right direction here, and I have to go with the Wildcats as well.
All right, Ignatius rolling into Tom Benson Stadium, taking on the McKinley Bulldogs. My natural instinct is to say go with Ignatius just based off of, some things that McKinley has gone through. But then I look at that record, but you look at the opponents. I think McKinley finds a way to get this thing handled, and that I think goes back to a lot of what you said is believing in Antonio Hall and the job that he's able to get done and getting those guys to buy into him. And I think if they do that offensively, they've got enough firepower, and defensively they're going to be able to slow Ignatius enough to not say it's going to be a victory like it was over Strongsville, but a close game. I see the Bulldogs in it.
I'll tell you what, again, weapons, McKinley has them all over the field. We know that, Again, looking at the schedule for Ignatius, a tough schedule. But the thing that I point out, none of those games were really close. I mean, they were blown out pretty good on all those, even though they are playing very tough teams. Nothing was really that tight. But there's a key word that I'm going to have used many times is the word discipline. And I think we're going to see a very disciplined Wildcat team. That's kind of, the way they've been through the years. I'm going to look at the upside. You got to throw a flyer out there. So this is going to be my flyer pick. I think, I'm going to go with Ignatius.
This is your flyer for Lindsay's Pizza.
No, I already got one Lindsay's Pizza coming. This is round 2, buddy.
I think Ignatius has one of the toughest schedules in the state, but they are also still very young. They're starting a lot of sophomores, a lot of young guys. I think Iggy's a couple years away from being really good, but I think you're right with McKinley. I think last week showed that they can have discipline, they can step up when it matters, and they do have a good kicking game with Rhodey who can kick it deep. That could be a difference in this game. I've got McKinley.
I'm going to go opposite. I really think that, they always talk about that adage, iron forges iron, and the idea of, you play a tough schedule, it just makes you better and better and better. And we always talk to our players about the idea that, you're not sophomores anymore, you're juniors. You're not juniors anymore, you're seniors. You've been through a full season. you're not young and
Preach it, Coach. I love it, baby.
You're not.
Get me excited.
I know. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you're not young. You're not.
I'm not a first-year broadcaster. I'm a second-year broadcaster. Sorry.
That's all right.
I got excited.
Jim's got his battle cry.
Yeah, battle cry.
I can't wait to
Lindsay's
see.
Pizza, I tell you.
I can't wait
It'll
to
do
see
it to you, I
Yeah.
swear.
the video of how bad you scared me when you yelled.
Oh, yeah, he got me, too. I mean,
I scared Rod. Thank God, Rod would have punched me.
Yeah.
I just got back from Disney, and I had my nieces and my daughter with me. I played more staring game competitions without blinking. You got me to blink about 10 times within 1 second right
Yeah.
there. You got,
Sorry.
I'm ready, man.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So with all that being said, I'll go with the Wildcats.
Wildcats it is. And Jim Bostic, he is a Wildcat, I'll tell you what.
Oh, jeez.
He's a wildcat.
About the
Here
size
we
of a
go. Let's,
wildcat. A little. Go ahead.
Let's start. We got one more left here. Well, let's skip past that one. We'll save that one for last. Let's throw a couple random ones out there. Okay, how about Central Ohio, man? Big matchup.
Here we
Pickerington
go.
Central and Upper Arlington. Off the top of your head, I'll tell you what. I got to go with Pickerington Central.
Where's it at?
I don't
Columbus.
I know that, Jeffrey. I meant the home field. You don't know.
know.
No. Okay.
It's at Pickerington Central.
Okay. Who'd you take?
I took Pickerington Central.
What's the other team?
Maybe it's at Upper Arlington.
Hey,
Eeny,
no way.
meeny, miny,
I'll tell you
moe.
what. Drive Mine has done some good business with Upper Arlington, and I am going to stay with Upper Arlington. Way to go, guys. Upper Arlington.
Drive Mine featuring Tersano gets the pick of the week. There
That's
you
right.
go.
The amount of Buckeyes that's come out of those schools, I'll still go with Pick Central.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Central as well.
Strong program there. I'll tell
Out
you
on the
what.
island again.
Let's keep it down there a little bit further south. You don't get a chance a whole lot to see Moeller and Xavier line up in playoffs, do you? No, this is Moeller Xavier. Those Cincinnati schools have banged it out for years. You mix in Elder. You mix in what Coleraine was able to do there through a couple years. Just some strong play. But when Moeller and Xavier get together, you know it's going to be an absolute battle. I'm going to have to go Moeller on this one.
Do you have a record?
8-2, 7-3, +1. No, but I think it's at Xavier.
Okay. Well, you know what? One year Xavier held the state wrestling tournaments when they were going through the transition, right? And I'll tell you the other thing about Xavier. They were the first team I saw with those long singlets that went down to the, kind of, and I really like those. So with that said, that's about the only thing I have to draw on. I'm going with Xavier.
Like the hammock, okay.
On another note,
was it a hammock?
Stark Media Combat Sports will be underway this Sunday at Perry High School, Iowa State. Coach Carr bringing in his son.
Nate Baker's going to be wrestling.
Nate Baker will be wrestling. Nate Carr. I'll tell you what, that's going to be exciting. Iowa State's going to host Cleveland State inside of Perry High School in their gymnasium. That's going to be fireworks. You'll be able to catch that on our YouTube channel this Sunday. Jim Bostic, myself, a couple other guys will be out there. That'll be starting about, you'll be able to catch us about 12:30 as action will start at 1. Jim, you picked. You went with Xavier,
I went Xavier.
based off of
Yep,
their
yep.
wrestling status.
Absolutely.
Jeff, what do you got?
Well, I had my whole career I wanted to play baseball at Xavier, the college. Blew the knee out, so that didn't go well. So I'm going to go with Moeller.
Hey,
Wow.
Listen, Coach. I just gave you at least 70 seconds there to do a little research.
I didn't. I was trying. I was trying to.
That's my partner.
Trying to be
you
honest
texting
there.
Amy or what?
I'm going to go. No. Plans are already made.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with St. X.
Okay, we got him in. How about we come back a little bit further up here? Last week, South Range, defending state champ, took out Fairless. They're going to host Ridgewood. Ridgewood's played some really good ball inside the IVC. Does Ridgewood have enough to get it done going up to South Range?
I have no clue, but I will tell you what. I'm going to take Ridgewood.
I like it.
All right.
I got South Range.
I take South Range.
Okay.
Can I repick?
No, I'm going to stick
No.
with you. I'm going to take Ridgewood. I like Ridgewood in the upset. They're, IVC. You talk about forging, Coach. I mean, when you've dealt with Garraway, you've dealt with Merlin Highland, you've dealt with Malvern, you've dealt with Sandy. I mean, there's this. They turn them out. Indian Valley. I mean, you just keep seeing tough, hard-nosed breed of football down in the IVC.
Yeah, the league's changed since I've been there. Now they have a big division, small division, there. But you got Malvern in the small division. It's a playoff team. And you look at Sandy Valley, who's in that. I think they're in the big division actually.
Yeah.
Indian Valley, Sandy Valley. You got obviously Garraway. You've got Ridgewood. It's become a really, really good football conference. And again, those teams play each other during the year and make each other better there and get themselves prepared. Indian Valley made a nice run last year in the playoffs. Garaway made a nice run in the playoffs last year, and it's really become a really good football conference, the IBC.
I'm trying to do my math here as I was looking. Indian Valley, I believe, they lost to Steubenville last year.
In the regional finals.
In the regional final.
Jeff, he's got the brackets up now.
Pulling brackets.
He makes us pick blind, and then he does homework while we're.
How about Dalton Lucas? We're going to throw that out there.
No, we have one more.
Okay. Keep me on task here. So we have Streetsboro at West Branch. How do you guys see this thing shaking out?
I'm going West Branch.
I'm going to go West Branch.
West Branch.
West Branch with a soft whisper. West Branch.
Quietly.
Still trying to figure out who we know. We want to make mention to. Didn't get a chance to talk about the Sandy Valley Cardinals, but got a nice victory last week in round one. They're going to take on Perry. That's anybody that knows anything about Perry. That's always a tough trip.
And that's not Perry.
That's not the Panthers.
Perry on the Lake.
This is Perry on the Lake.
So, hey, shout out to Brian Gamble, my old nemesis over there at Perry. All the best going up there, taking that trip. Strap up, man. Have the boys ready to go. I know Ben and Fred Thomas, they'll be doing that as well. So I got West Branch in this game as well. A special shout out to all of our local teams that are still playing football. So continue to get it done. All the best from Stark Media. Stay healthy. Get after it. Any final words, guys, before we sign off?
No, it's been great, man. I mean, week 2, it's so exciting. These pick'ems are tough. Some of these games are very difficult. So just think what next week is going to be like. So it's exciting, and tell you what, Dave, we are ready, buddy.
We're ready.
Green and Hoover, let's do it.
Jeff, you all gassed up, ready to go, man. You get Rod a little bit of Theraflu, man. Get him ready for the ride up there to Lakewood.
Yeah, Pete wants to go with me too. See, he wants to see a good game, so we'll have. Sweet feet in the booth there.
He might be the good luck charm.
So could be. We'll see. But looking forward to hopefully a good game.
All right, myself, I will be out there at Canton South as they welcome in Bookdale, the Griffs, and you'll be able to catch all that action at starkmedia.tkdssports.com. Check it out, starkmedia.tkdssports.com. We'll have live video, audio feed for you. Through our friends at TKDS Sports and NHFS, the network. Go there, sign up, subscribe, and you can view a lot of high school sports from around the country. Not only that, you'll be able to get all of Stark Media's content as well. Special shout-out to a couple of our good friends.
Now, wait a minute. Before you do that, Dave, you now have seen what this craziness is.
Yes.
Your thoughts here as you wrap up your first Wednesday show with us.
It's just enjoyable talking football. I mean, I don't have anybody at home. My wife's working, my son's at school. I don't have anybody to talk football with. So this is kind of nice to sit here and talk some ball here. I love it. It's been great.
To have you, the experience of Rod and now you stepping in as Rod's, not feeling well, it's truly a pleasure listening to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give a shameless plug to Loby's Bar and Grill, man. If you need some Donnie Hertler, Jack Rose time, Bobby Cummings Jr. time, I know they're there by 3 o'clock every Thursday.
Do they exchange films there or what?
That's a film exchange.
Okay.
I mean, they're talking about I believe it was Donnie told me about how he got his first gig under Bob Cummings. He picked him up, took him to the Alibi, said you're hired, end of story, can't back out. Took him out around town, showed him, smoked a pack of cigarettes, and called it a day.
Don't go there on an empty stomach is my advice.
There you go, man.
And that's truth.
So, shout out to all of our local teams. We're wishing you nothing but the best, and I know all of our proud supporters of Stark Media wish you nothing but the best as well, and that starts at the top with the Eagles FOE 190, Hilscher Clark Electric Company, Cackley Insurance, Spirit of Stark, Simon Says Promotion, Ohio.net, Apex Surgical, my guy over here, Jimmy B, Drive Mind Group, check them out. We'll have some more information coming down the line about them. CH Vallis and Associates, H&H Truck Parts, LPL Financial, Lindsay's Pizza, as we've talked about all day long. Get online at lindsays.pizza.com or call them at 477-3800 to get the best chicken, pizza, subs, whatever it is, wings, calzones, salads. Best game day food out there, Lindsay's Pizza. And then McNeil & Sons Tree Service. Also a special shout out to Walsh U, Leathernecks Nation MC, the Sam Center, and Save22.vet. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us here on this latest edition, playoff edition of Stark Media High School Football Weekly here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Remember, courtesy of the OHSAA, we remind you that hours of operation here at the Hall of Fame Museum are 9 to 5 daily. Make sure not only to stop out today, tomorrow, whatever day it might be, leading all the way up to state championship weekend, which is November 30th, December 1st, and December 2nd. All right, that's it for myself here, TJ Downing, Jim Bostic, Jeff Tyler, and Dave Burtscher. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you out there for round 2 of the Ohio High School playoffs.